Hello students, good morning. In earlier class we discussed regarding about what is health, what is disease and how good health is maintained and what is the importance of health and what is the reasons for disease and what are the types of diseases. Today's class we are going to discuss about the types of hosts, the types of vectors, the types of parasites, and how the parasites are successfully lives in the host body. Okay, so let us start. So first one, types of hosts. So what is parasite we discussed earlier? The parasites, the organisms which unable to live independently and complete its life cycle process in the host body. During the completion of its life cycle process, it causes different types of the diseases to the host body. Those are called parasites. So based on parasites, the hosts are divided into different types. Those are primary host, secondary host, and reservoir host. There is three different types of the hosts. Those are primary host, secondary host, and reservoir host. Right? So what is primary host? Primary host means the parasites completes its sexual reproduction stages. The parasites completes its sexual reproduction stages on which host parasite completes its sexual reproduction stages. Such type of the host is called primary host. While during completion of the life cycle process of parasites are exhibits both sexual and asexual reproduction also, right? And whenever the parasites exhibits sexual reproduction, such type of the host is called primary host. On which host the parasite exhibits sexual reproduction, such type of the hosts are called primary host. Okay, so parasites completes its sexual reproduction stages. That type of the host is called primary host. Okay, next one, secondary host. Secondary host means parasites completes its asexual reproduction stages. On which host the parasites completes its asexual reproduction stages, such type of the host is called secondary host. So on which host the parasite completes its sexual reproduction stages, that is called primary host. On which host the parasite completes its asexual reproduction stages, such type of the host is called secondary host. Got it? Right. So in earlier we discussed example for malaria. Example for diseases, malaria disease. So malaria causing parasite is what? Plasmodium, right? Plasmodium spreads by anopheles mosquito. So plasmodium completes its sexual reproduction stages in where? In anopheles mosquito. So anopheles mosquito is the primary host for plasmodium. So plasmodium is what? Plasmodium is the parasite which causes malaria, and plasmodium is a protozoan. And for plasmodium, what is primary host? Anopheles mosquito is the primary host. Why primary host? Why for plasmodium anopheles mosquito is the primary host? Because in anopheles mosquito, plasmodium completes sexual reproduction stages. Right? Okay, next one. For plasmodium, in the life cycle process of plasmodium exhibits its asexual reproduction stages in where? In man. So man is secondary host for plasmodium. Why man is example? Why man is considered as secondary host for plasmodium? Because during the completion of its life cycle, plasmodium exhibits asexual life cycle process in man. So that only for plasmodium, what is secondary host? Man is the secondary host. Okay, right. So for plasmodium, who is primary host? Anopheles mosquito is the primary host because of sexual reproduction completes in by anopheles mosquito. So who is secondary host? Man. Humans are secondary host. Why? Because of plasmodium exhibits asexual reproduction. That is primary host and a secondary host. Okay, right. Next one, reservoir host. Third type of the host is reservoir host. What is meant by reservoir host? It is the host that lodges the infective stages of parasites in its body when the main host is not available. During completion of parasite's life cycle, the parasite transfers from one host to another host, one host to another host. That time, during a changing of hosts, that time the main host is not available, the next host is not available, the parasite is temporarily stores in which host. That type of the host is called reservoir host. That only given here. It is the host that lodges the infective stages of parasite in its body when the main host is not available. In case main host is not available, in that time the parasite temporarily stores in reservoir host, and in reservoir host the parasites not completes any type of life cycle process. After some time, after some of the days, also the main host is not available. In reservoir host, parasite is going to be damaged, is going to be destructed. Understood or not? Right? So that is called reservoir host. So example, monkey for plasmodium. So during completion of its life cycle process, plasmodium, life cycle process of plasmodium, the malaria causing parasite. The plasmodiums are temporarily lives in the monkeys. Right? So monkey is the reservoir host for plasmodium life cycle. After this clear, hope you understood the three types of the host: primary host, secondary host, and reservoir host. Okay. Next slide. Types of vectors. So what is vectors? We discussed in earlier class. Vectors are carries the disease causing organisms. Vectors spreads, carries or transports pathogens from one region to another region, infected to healthy region. Right? So based on parasite's lifestyle, vectors again divided into two different types based on parasite lifestyles only. Okay, right. So the vectors are majorly divided into two different types. What are they? Mechanical vectors and biological vectors. There is two different types of the vectors. One is mechanical vector, another one biological vector. So what is meant by mechanical vectors? These are merely transfers the infective stages of a parasite, but no part of parasite development takes place in it. Mechanical vectors means what? Mechanical and biological. Both also vectors, both are also carries the pathogens, transports the pathogens. But in mechanical vectors are helpful for only transport the pathogen. In the mechanical vector, the parasites are not exhibits, the pathogens are not exhibits any type of life cycle process. Those are called mechanical vectors. Only those are the carriers, and the parasites or pathogens not exhibits any type of life cycle portion in mechanical vectors. For example, houseflies and cockroaches. In houseflies, through the houseflies and cockroaches, diseases spreads. So parasites or pathogens spreads, but pathogens or parasites not exhibits any type of life cycle portion in the mechanical vectors. So what about biological vectors? It is the vector in which the parasite undergoes a part of the development before it gets transferred to the another host. In biological vectors, whenever through the biological vector the parasites spreads from one region to another region, during that time the parasite or pathogen exhibits some of the life cycle portion in biological vectors. That only given here. It is the vector in which the parasite undergoes a part of the development. Some of the life cycle process is exhibits in which vector? That vector is called biological vector. For example, Anopheles mosquito for plasmodium. We discussed earlier. Anopheles mosquito is one of the vector for plasmodium parasite. Right? So mechanical and biological vectors both are also carries the diseases, carries the pathogens, but in mechanical vectors, pathogens not exhibits life cycle process. In biological vectors, carries the pathogens and some of the life cycle process exhibits in biological vectors. Okay, we know Anopheles mosquito is the primary host for plasmodium. So why some of the sexual reproductive stages exhibits? So it is a biological vector and primary host also. Anopheles mosquito is the biological vector and primary host for plasmodium in malaria life cycle. Okay, hope you understood this one. Okay, next types of parasites. So based on the interaction, the host and the parasite, various types of parasites are recognized. Based on the interaction between host and the parasites are majorly divided into two different types. Those are ectoparasites and endoparasites. Ecto and endoparasites. So ecto means what? Outside. Endo means inside. In the name only, ectoparasites, endoparasites. So now tell me, what are ectoparasites and what are endoparasites? You know that. What is that? Ectoparasite means a parasite that lives on the surface of the host body. Which parasite that lives on the surface of the host body, such type of the parasites are called ectoparasites. On the surface of the host body, such type of the parasites are called ectoparasites. For example, head lice, ticks on the dogs. In the head, there is small lice are presented. In the hair, right? Black insects, those are causes that is related to the arthropoda, right? Phylum arthropoda, head lice. And ticks on the diseases, ticks on the dogs. There is a small insects are presented in the dog hair, right? So those are all considered as ectoparasites. Where it lives, inside the body or outside of the body? Outside of the host body. A parasite that lives on the surface of the host body is called ectoparasites. Next one, endoparasites. What is endo? The parasite which lives inside of the host body. The parasite that lives inside of the host body, those are called endoparasites. Okay. So for example, Plasmodium causes malaria. So Plasmodium presented inside of the host body, in the region of blood and in the region of RBC. So there is a different regions, right? So Plasmodium causes malaria. Plasmodium is one of the example for endoparasite. And Ascaris, commonly called as roundworm. So Ascaris causes ascariasis, abdominal pain, generally in childs which are suffering with abdominal pain because of growth of roundworms are more in the region of intestine. So Plasmodium causes malaria. Plasmodium is one of the example for endoparasites. Ascaris is one of the example for endoparasites. You can write any of parasite which lives inside the body. Those are endoparasites, right? So types of parasites are majorly two different types. What are they? Ectoparasites and endoparasites. Ecto means the parasite which lives on the surface of the host body, ectoparasites. The which parasites which lives inside of the host body, those are endoparasites. Endoparasites example, you can write any of endoparasites, what you know. Okay, these are the types of parasites. Next slide. Parasitic adaptations. So where the parasites are lives, either on the region of host body, surface of the host body, or inside of the host body. One parasite lives in the host body and successfully completes its life cycle process and causes diseases also. How the parasites are successfully completes its life cycle process in the host body? In normal, without any type of modifications in their body, the parasites are unable to live in the host body. There is some of the modifications and adaptations which is exhibits by the parasites. Then only the parasites are able to lives in the host body and successfully completes its life cycle process. Okay. So parasitic adaptations, there is some of the modifications or takes place in the parasite's body. By that only the parasites are successfully lives in the host body. So what type of the modifications, what type of the adaptations? All right. Okay, adaptations are exhibits by the parasites. So first one, parasites are develops structures like hooks and suckers. So in the image given, the parasite develops strong hooks and suckers in the region of anterior portion of the body. For example, in the tapeworm develops strong hooks and suckers which lives in the region of intestine. With the hooks, it holds the intestine wall, and with the suckers, it sucks the nutrients. Right? Development of hooks and suckers for successful living of lifestyle. Right in the region of inside of host body. So development of hooks and suckers. Next one, some intestinal parasites have developed a protective cuticle in intestine. Some of the intestinal parasite in intestine, what is presented? What are presented in intestine? Different types of enzymes are presented, different types of gastric juices are presented, different types of acids are presented. There is different types of pH values. by the acids and bases, whatever the chemicals are presented in the region of intestine, by the chemicals the parasite unable to dissolve, right? It protect by itself. By what? By the development of protective cuticle. The parasite is surrounded by protective cuticle. There is a strong cuticle is presented throughout the body. By the presence of strong protective cuticle, the parasites not going to be dissolved. You understood? Some intestinal parasites have developed protective cuticle. By the presence of protective cuticle, the parasites unable to dissolve, but in the presence of in the region of intestine, because of presence of different types of chemicals are presented, right? So presence of protective cuticle also one of the parasitic adaptation. Next one, they are great reproductive potential. When parasite enters inside the body and parasite completes its life cycle, means what? It increases its progenies, offsprings, right, by the sexual and sexual reproductive stages. So increases the life, increases its progenies or offsprings within what long duration? No, within the short span only. Most of the parasites within the short span only increases in more number, more in number. So it has high, it exhibits high reproductive capacity. So they are great reproductive potential. They are great reproductive potential. Then only it increases their number and causes diseases to the host body. Okay, for example, Ascaris lays nearly 2 lakhs eggs per day. Per day Ascaris exhibits 2 lakhs eggs. So all eggs are, it may be not survive, but some of the eggs are going to be hatched, and obviously the new young ascaris are releases, undergoes metamorphosis and releases, and obviously there is it causes diseases. Understood or not? So parasite exhibits, parasites are having great reproductive potential. It is also one of the parasitic adaptation. Next one, certain parasites are developed cyst tied over the unfavorable condition. So all time in the all the times in host body favorable conditions are not available for parasites living. In sometimes unfavorable conditions are there. During the unfavorable conditions, the parasites, for escaping from, for prevention from unfavorable conditions, it forms the cyst. There is a strong cuticle cyst is formed. Inside the cyst, the parasites are safely presented until unfavorable condition. Until favorable condition. Once unfavorable condition changes into favorable condition, then it starts its life cycle process, right? So this is also one of the parasitic adaptation. Okay, so here parasitic adaptation, how parasites are successfully lives in the host body by the exhibition of parasitic adaptations, by the presence of hooks and suckers, and there is a strong protective cuticle is presented in the parasites, on the parasites, and they are exhibits great reproductive potential, and there is formation of cysts inside the cysts also. The parasites cysts inside the cysts also, the parasites are safely protected until a favorable condition, right? Hope you understood, hope all of you understood up to this topic, right? In next class we'll discuss regarding about immunity and the types of immunity in human body. Okay, thank you very much. Bye bye.